Hi, I'm going to show you ModelX, a 3D model tool for Final Cut Pro and Motion. ModelX lets you load models, modify them, relight and retexture and do simple animations directly on the timeline in Final Cut Pro without having to go into Motion. Here's a brief overview. There is both an effect and a generator version of ModelX. I'm going to load the effect version for now, and then click on to Open Editor and resize our editor window for the tutorial. And if you accidentally click on Final Cut Pro, you might lose the editor behind Final Cut, and so it might be a good idea to just resize Final Cut so that you can get back to it. In this window, we can load models from a library, which I'll show you later. But for the moment, what we're going to do is pretend that we're making an infographic on this nice slate background. And another thing we've really tried to do is make sure that this works really well with models from Sketchfab, which is one of the largest libraries of free and paid models, and get some really nice stuff off there for reasonable prices. So I've already downloaded that model. I'm going to load it now. And here we go. Here's our model. We can navigate the viewer with a few different ways. If you have a magic mouse, then swipe on the mouse to rotate, shift swipe to pan around, and command swipe to dolly forward and back in Z space. With a magic trackpad, it's the same except use two fingers. Otherwise, if you have a free button mouse with wheel, then use middle mouse button to dolly forward and back in Z space, shift middle mouse button to pan around, and middle mouse button on its own to rotate. So I'm just going to place this centered and then give it a little bit of a tilt and deselect it, zoom in a little bit more. Okay, now let's have a look at the lighting. One of the things we can immediately do is change the lighting environment, which is affecting both the reflections on the object and the lighting that applies to it. We can immediately see the changes to the shiny areas. Let's spin that round, choose a different one. You can see how this can really drastically relight and give different impressions of the object. So that's quite a nice one. Now, as well as the built-in environment maps, you can of course use your own HDR or EXR files. And we also have built-in lights, and you could just build your own manually, or we could go into presets here. So I like this one for this. That's giving it a nice sort of edge. And if this was an infographic, we'd have some call-outs coming in, pointing out different parts of it. We could also animate it, which is something I'll show you later. There's also camera presets to give you different positions and lenses. But I'm happy with this position, so I'm not going to load one of those right now. Okay, let's save for changes, go back into Final Cut Pro, and there it is. Now, here's another example. Take this raised background from built-in generators. What I'm going to do is, again, ModelX, Open Editor, and this time load from the library, go to Packaging. I've got this nice candy bar here. Zoom in again using middle mouse button, rotate and shift pan till I get a nice angle and positioning. Okay, so that's quite nice, but let's put some lights in. This time I like this one. Nice and bright. Now, there's a bunch of things we could do here. So I'm going to show you how you change the texture. We make sure that the candy bar is selected, go to Materials, and there's various texturing modes here. I could apply a preset, and then you'll see the different presets we've included, and there'll be some more coming. We could use this to make it nice and iridescent like car paint, but that's not what I want, so undo that. Okay, so in this case, we're going to go into the Advanced Material Editing, which lets me see all the layers in the PBR lighting model for 3D. And in this case, it's the diffuse layer we want to change. So I can click on that and choose this image from Pexels. You'll see that's like a nice bright candy image. I would have to change the aspect ratio to make it correct. So about 0.7 should work. Right, so that's applied. Now, what we could also do is we could use a decal to put a logo onto that and some text as an overlay on the diffuse, but that's going to be in another tutorial. So now what I'm going to show you is how easy it is to do animation. I'm going to go to the Object, Rotation Parameters, and rotate this to where we want it, like this, on the first frame, add keyframe, go to the last frame, and move it like this, and then we've immediately got a nice rotation on it, save for changes, and see that immediately in the timeline. That gives you an idea. There's going to be additional tutorials showing more details on lighting, texturing, presets, and all the other things you can do with ModelX. Please let us know if you'd like to see anything in more detail or have questions. Thank you.